We all struggle with feeling like there's not enough time in the day to be productive personally or professionally. We all struggle to make our time matter. It's time to take control. It's time to start investing in the corporation of you. At Athena, they've helped over 700 ambitious professionals achieve more by connecting them with best-in-class, globally remote executive assistants. Athena executive assistants go beyond basic administration tasks. They help you make time matter through the art of delegation. They believe delegation is the superpower of all highly successful people, and your personal EA will help you get there. Your EA is a one-on-one long-term partner to help you achieve your personal and professional goals. Take back your time. Join the waitlist at athenago.com. That's athenago.com.
I mean, no one plans to get sick, and yet, here we are. My name is Matthew Zachary. A quarter century ago, I was given 6 months to live with a diagnosis of terminal brain cancer. For more than 15 years, I've been ranting and raving on the air about stupid cancer and now stupid healthcare, and I'm just getting warmed up. So let's all go make healthcare suck less together, because you know what? We're all out of patience. Hey, that's the name of the show. Man, what a treat that I have this week to welcome Michelle Juhanson here in studio. And, you know, there's nothing quite like seeing someone in person. The chemistry, the eye contact, it really makes for just incredible conversation. Raw, pure, authentic conversation. Michelle and I only were introduced like the week before this taping because I'm speaking at one of her company's conferences this summer. And like on Monday, they're like, hey, she's going to be in New York. Why doesn't she just stop by the studio? I'm like, okay, boom. 10 seconds later, she's here in the room. And man, did we really hit it off. I mean, from a LinkedIn perspective, her title is Vice President and Chief of Staff 2, not Chief of Staff 1. We're going to figure out what that means. Her employer is Magellan Rx Management, which is a PBM. And for the cheap seats in the back, PBM stands for Pharmacy Benefit Management Company. They're the ones that actually help get you the drugs you need when you need them through your doctor, through your provider, through your insurance company. So they conduct all the trench warfare needed to make sure you get what you need when you need it. What's super cool about Michelle is she's a global citizen. She's multilingual. She's multicultural. She's been all around the world, so she understands healthcare and society and government and policies outside of the United States, which makes for incredible comparative conversations. She's also par for the course, a Gen X junkie like me, so prepare yourself for lots of 80s references, a trip down IMDB lane, and all sorts of fun with Michelle Juhanson. Oh, did I also mention she's a cancer survivor? Let's get started. Michelle, welcome to Out of Patience.
Hi, Matthew. It's so nice to be here with you.
Oh, my God. The chemistry it's just sitting there. It's right here.
Yeah, you're my friend.
To the listeners hearing us right now, we were just chatting before in the we don't have a green room, but I'll just say it was a green room. I mean, the table outside.
Where I didn't get my green M&Ms.
No, I was supposed to split your M&Ms by color, and I failed miserably.
It's okay. I'll let you go.
But I'm thrilled to have you here. I mean, we kind of just met on like a first date over email, and then we talked on the phone a little bit, but it just seems like it's magical. I feel like, how have I not known you all these years?
I feel like it's pretty natural, and there, to a certain extent, I'm a cancer survivor, you're a cancer survivor, and there's an inbuilt camaraderie that I seem to find with people who've survived. But you just have a great spirit and a great mission and kind eyes, and you love the 80s, so I think that it's just meant to be.
Oh, buckle up, listeners. This is an 80s. We're going to channel your favorite movie, possibly my favorite movie, The Never-Ending Story.
Absolutely, Atreyu.
Falcor for the win, the entire show.
Yeah, but nothing of the nothing.
Nothing of the nothing? Or that weird turtle.
The turtle.
Atreyu! Yeah. Asthmatic turtle.
Yes. You can get that sponsored.
Oh, my God. Yeah, we should go after, I don't know, Zantac? Not Zantac. I'm sorry. We should go after, yeah, you're right, albuterol.
Yeah.
Dear albuterol. Or then get a nebulizer device company to sponsor the show. I have one in my purse, yes. Oh, my goodness.
We can make the puff sound. That's perfect.
My daughter's on it, so I know.
There you go.
So my first question is, I have your title on LinkedIn says VP Chief of Staff 2. Are you a sequel?
It's actually just a second level up. So there are chief of staff 1s, and I've been fortunate enough to be seen as a chief of staff 2, or just a chief of staff. But I love Medicare. I have an amazing boss. I work with a great team. They were supportive of me. I got my cancer diagnosis 6 months into getting hired for that job. And
congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So there were only 3 movie sequels that are better than the originals. Empire Strikes Back, Godfather 2, and Lethal Weapon 2.
Arguably, yes.
Right. So you are those 3 movies in career form.
That is awesome. You're making my day. You're going to make me blush.
Yeah. I mean, who's going to argue with Lawrence Kasdan? You just can't. You can't beat the guy. Anyway, I'm thrilled to have you here because I'm actually speaking at a Magellan conference. I think it's in August.
Yes.
Where
the
is
Specialty
it?
Summit here in New York City, right?
Oh, then easy travel.
Yes.
Thanks for that.
You're welcome. I planned everything.
I'll just walk and get my steps in.
Oh, I think you'd get a billion steps if you walked.
What, was it like in upstate New York and like Albany?
No, it's in the city, but it's downtown, so it'll take you a couple steps.
Well, we are downtown.
You know what? Coming from Alabama, your downtown is much bigger than my downtown.
Oh, fair enough. But you're not originally an Alabama girl.
No. I was born in Ohio, but I say I'm raised in West Virginia, lived in Argentina, and then came to Philadelphia to school at Drexel University and have been living in the Northeast until just in November.
I have like post-Holocaust cousins in Buenos Aires.
Really?
It's like we didn't know where they went, and my mom found them on Ancestry or something years ago, and like I have an entire family in Buenos Aires.
Interestingly enough, there was a very large post-World War II German population in Argentina, but a very strong Jewish community as well.
I talk to them on LinkedIn every now and then. Like one of these days, we'll take a trip down my family in Buenos Aires and meet my mom's distant relatives.
You have to. BA is the coolest city, and when you talk to them next time, just write CHE, Che. They start off everything Che.
What is the equivalent here in the States for that? Like yo?
Like dude.
Dude, okay.
But Che Guevara is from Argentina. Yeah.
It was yo in the 80s, though.
Not everywhere. Che is like everywhere.
Okay. Understood. I'm excited for that.
And if you say Che Boludo, they'll really love you.
So give me some context just before we get to your cancer story, because that's always like the shit happens rabbit hole. What is Magellan?
Magellan. So Magellan Health and Magellan Rx, they're a very large corporation. We're well known on the Magellan Health side for our behavioral health. So helping people to get connected with the right help to deal with so many different behavioral health issues. And we're well positioned to do that. And they are a Centene corporation. And Magellan Rx is a PBM, or a pharmacy benefit manager.
Acronym time.
And sometimes you'll hear people talk about the middleman. That's a term that has been used in common parlance. But really what Magellan Rx does is they take care of everything that it takes to get a medication in your hands that your doctor believes that you're supposed to have.
Okay. That sounds like it should be working every time.
It works pretty well. We help to keep costs down for plans. Magellan Rx has a presence in all 50 states. They provide PBM services for Medicaid, Medicare, commercial, employers, and I'm in the Medicare field, so that's where my heart and soul is. I love beneficiaries.
All right. I was reading on your LinkedIn. I don't know if you wrote this or someone else wrote this or someone did it and you didn't know about it. You call yourself a polyglot.
I wrote that.
You did write that?
Yeah.
All right. So for the Webster's disinformed listening, what is a polyglot?
So poly meaning many, glot meaning glottis or tongue. I'm a many-tongued person. I speak multiple languages.
Well, Argentina.
Yeah, Spanish. Or in Argentina, they say castellano.
Right.
See?
I have no idea what you're saying.
And
Mi guapo.
Muy guapo. Yes, you're very handsome. Then there is French, Estonian, some Estonian. I'm not fluent, but I'm much more fluent than the average American, I think. I did okay in Italian and Portuguese. And then I'm learning Arabic and Hebrew.
But you're from America.
Yes.
And you've experienced other cultures.
Yeah.
Wait, there are other cultures?
Oh, my parents were really big on other cultures. I mean, maybe from a food perspective, but also just from a life perspective. And they always just encouraged my desire to know other cultures. And I used to actually walk around the grocery store when I was a little kid. I wanted people to think I was foreign. And I would speak gibberish in like, I would speak gibberish in the aisles of the grocery store. So I think it was just a lifelong passion.
So like the Na'vi language from Avatar before James Cameron invented it?
Yes, but pure gibberish.
Pure gibberish.
Absolutely nonsensical.
Like
but I just,
frontier gibberish.
But I wanted someone to like notice that I could speak another language.
But I'm always fascinated by people who have that global perspective of what life is actually like outside this ridiculous country.
Well, it makes a big difference. And actually, you know what? This country's not as ridiculous as you think once you go somewhere else. There's nowhere else.
Touche.
There's nowhere else I could be in my skin, in my body, in my mind, and do what I've been able to accomplish. You know, my great-great-grandmother was the daughter of a slave owner and a slave. My family is Muskogee and Creek and African, whereas, you know, we're just as American as it comes. My grandfather's fought in World War II, and now I'm a vice president at an insurance company, and I, you know, get awards, and I get a chance to talk to cool people like you and have a voice that hopefully gets to represent millions of people. So it's really a blessing, but it is also incredibly fun to get a chance to connect with other people. And you know what? At the end of the day, most people just want to be able to have a good time, eat really well, maybe have a glass of something.
Something?
You know, a little glass
What's your
of
something?
wine. I prefer vino. I prefer red wine,
Okay.
Spanish, French, or Italian, and or champagne.
Wait, are you your own sommelier?
I am. Oh, that's a bucket
After
list.
all this time in France?
That is a bucket list item to do. You have to take a year off, though, to take the classes and do it really well. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
All
But
right, fine. We're a complicated nation, but we are the great experiment.
the great experiment, and there's not anywhere else where it's been done or been done better.
That is true. And we're witnessing as of this taping in real time, that great experiment.
Yeah. No, it's happening in real time, and it's worth trying and worth continuing the experiment.
So your work in healthcare, we're going to get to your story in the second half of the show, but your work in healthcare was already in existence before you were sick.
Correct. I started actually when I was 22. I was a co-op at Cigna International Latin America. I started translating newspapers for the president and translating meetings in Guatemala and Spain and translating formularies.
All right, for those listening that are under the age of 35, MTV stood for music television.
There was still videos on MTV.
There were still videos, Adam Curry and I forget the other VJs, but my God, did we worship them in the 1990s?
Yeah. I actually auditioned to be on The Real World.
No way.
Philadelphia. Didn't get in, of course.
I got to watch The Real World when they, what was it, 1111 Broadway, whatever the offices in Times Square, the big glass window used to be there.
True story.
You could just like stare at the show while it's like being taped.
That was, I guess, our first foray into reality TV.
Wait, so you started in media?
No. I was just in college and I wanted to be, again, I think there's been this desire as a child, even I would like to do something and to be seen. And I love to sing. And I did like a musical theater as a child and show choir. And I was a cheerleader, probably not a surprise, but
that sounds relevant, appropriate. And I approve this message.
But I ended up falling in love with healthcare.
Said no one ever? Like, what happened? I can't wait to work for CMS. Seriously.
So my dad had congestive heart failure when I was a little girl, and it deeply impacted me. I'm a licensed hypochondriac by training.
So you're Jewish.
Yeah, exactly. That's perfect. I'm Jewish. I'll take it. And I think that I've been deeply affected by what it's like to be a caregiver. My dad was the first person I ever signed up for Medicare. And I don't know. I have a heart for the beneficiary. I particularly love older people. My grandparents I was very close with. I was there when my granny passed away, and I was there when my grandfather passed away. She was 90, he was 98, and it was such an honor to be at the end of such great lives. And I just want, in particular, for the people who have worked hard and lived hard and gotten us through some even tougher times than I think the ones that we face today, I just want to make sure that they get their fair shake.
Those are some good numbers right there, 90 and 95?
98.
Oh, wow, 1998.
And he had just gotten his license that year.
To drive?
Renewed.
Oh, my God.
The state of Ohio.
In Florida, they'd welcome him.
He had glaucoma and everything. My mom was so upset.
What did they pass from?
My granny, actually, she passed from gangrene.
Wow.
She was receiving home health care. Mm-hmm. We didn't realize that it wasn't with a medical professional. I feel really strongly about caregiving. And my grandfather, his heart at 98 years had pumped plenty. And he just started
good
to go down.
old-fashioned death.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But we went through hospice for both my grandparents, and it was a blessing to my family.
It just seems so like distant to think you could die of just being old.
Yeah, well, and my granny's gangrene complications really came from dementia.
Right.
So it's just, I guess, like part of the
pros and cons of aging, right?
Yeah, and I will say that her last Christmas, I took a lot of video, and she was looking around at everybody, and she just kept saying, I have such a big, beautiful family. I have such a wonderful family. And so she was really pretty cognizant, and she wanted to be 90. So her birthday was February 16th. And every day she'd wake up and say, is it my birthday yet? Is it my birthday yet? She passed 10 days after her 90th birthday.
That is grace of God goodness.
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to take a quick break and be back with Michelle.
Has your chronic illness made it difficult to continue working in the traditional way? Want to learn how to find and create flexible remote work that both accommodates your chronic illness and generates an income? Join the Patients Getting Paid membership, a community of chronicpreneurs where people just like you find workshops and trainings, weekly updated condition-specific gigs, twice monthly coaching calls, co-workings, accountability, and the kindest community to support you on your path to make money while working from anywhere and taking good care of yourself. Learn more or join us at patientsgettingpaid.com.
All right, I'll say it this way. No one wants to be sick, which I think I say at the top of the show. And healthcare is a supply-only market. No one wants to be there. No one asks to be there. I'm not talking, break fix and triage and scrapes and broken bones. The real terrible shit no one really wants to have. And I love that we talked at the top of the show about how you were already in the enmeshed sub-level 48 of the healthcare system when you yourself fell victim to the shit happens store, right? Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about it. So I was 39, and we had actually a death in the family, and I went to be with my family, and I can only credit it to that their towels are a different thickness than mine.
Oh my God. Okay.
And I was coming out of the shower and toweling off, and I ran into this big old bump. And my aunt's a nurse, and I ran outside because she helped.
Wait, this is radio. Where was the bump?
It was on my left breast in the upper half. I should have actually seen it. It was like the size of a half of a golf ball.
Okay.
I just never noticed it, and I'm pretty sure I showered every day.
Wait,
prior.
so your Egyptian cotton multi-thread towel detected your cancer?
Pretty much. And I went out to my aunt, and I said, is this a thing? And usually she's like, because I always thought I had like some kind of cancer. If I ate too many hot pickles, I'm like, oh, that's it. It's stomach cancer. And she's like, no, just take a Zantac, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And this time she says, no, you need to get that checked out. That was June 26th of 2019. I came back home.
So right before the pandemic and the earth went to shit.
I went into quarantine before everybody else went to quarantine. So I got, between June 26th and July 23rd, I had a series of tests. And then,
were you taken seriously?
I was taken seriously, and I was taken so seriously that I was actually like yelled at. So
how dare you know more than me?
No, so I I go and I make the appointments. I get seen by the physician, and just for women out there, like I was pretty big chested. My dream had always been to have a reduction. I didn't realize it was going to happen this way, but God answers prayers.
Hey, man plans, and God says, all right,
there you go,
whatever you want,
paid for by insurance.
Nice.
And so. Oh, I almost lost my train of thought. So I had to get a mammogram, but mammograms don't really show if you're fibrocystic. So I got there was a big fight about whether or not I would have the ultrasound or the mammogram first. I had the ultrasound first, and the ultrasound physician came to me and he's like, "This is a solid mass, and you need to take this seriously, and you can't wait on this." And I'm thinking, and I actually started I kind of teared up, and I said, I'm here. I came here. What do you want me to do? Where am I supposed to go?
Right.
And I don't know if he was having a bad day, but his humanity clicked back on, and he walked me out to a station, and they started scheduling everything.
It's like empathy overload when it laps over itself.
Yeah. And then my physician, they called me and said I needed to come in on Tuesday at 1 p.m. This was Friday was all the testing days, and then the next Tuesday I was told I need to come in at 1 p.m. I get to the physician's office, and this is how I knew I had cancer, because the lady at the front desk said, "Oh, it's you."
Oh, God.
"Oh, it's you." Oh, he came on his day off. And that was pretty much how I knew.
A nice trigger warning.
Yeah, that was how I knew. But I have to credit my physician. he actually made me an appointment so that I could see an oncologist the moment after he told me I had cancer.
Wow.
That was why he wanted me in at 1 p.m.
That's special and rare.
It's special and rare. So he took me, he gave me my information, he gave me the sheets of paper. Now, having been a hypochondriac that suffered from fake HIV, fake diabetes, fake MS, all those things,
but those are quality imaginary diseases.
They're definitely quality diseases. By the time that I actually got a disease, I wasn't nearly as nervous because I had already been scared of everything else.
Were you relieved? Finally, it's something.
No, I wasn't.
That's the name of the show. Finally, it's something.
I knew I was right. I wasn't relieved, but I wasn't freak out, terrified like I used to be of things I never had. Mm-hmm. And when I met the oncologist, he was amazing. He said, I'm going to be your quarterback. He's like, our first move has to be our best move. We're going to take this DNA. We're going to find out what you have. He said, you have 3 weeks to have fun. And then when you come back, we're going to go to work. He said, get a second opinion. And
wait, they told you to get a second opinion?
They told me to get a second opinion.
Also, beautiful and rare.
He's amazing. And I ended up actually going to the University of Pennsylvania, which was not where I was diagnosed, but it was because he told me to get a second opinion, and he told me to get it at Penn.
Wow.
And I actually came to New York because I got my diagnosis on July 23rd, 2019, 5 days before I turned 40.
Wow.
They told me...
happy birthday.
Thank you. They told me now
everyone knows how old you are.
I'm 23 years old. No, I'm kidding. I claim all 42 years.
Aging
I'm so grateful for it.
Is a blessing.
Yes. I love my gray hair. I love who I am. I could deal with that. The gray chin hair, that's very demoralizing. I thought the chemo would keep that away, but there's that.
But you kept your eyebrows.
I kept my eyebrows. It was very interesting when
God bless chemo progress.
When things grow back. You know what else was nice about chemo? You don't smell.
That's true.
Yeah,
your
body's
don't sweat.
Like, mm-mm. Well, I sweat it tremendously. We'll talk about Lupron.
Oh yeah. Oh wait, we got to get into the hormone fun.
But I found out 5 days before I turned 40, and I was planning to come up here for my 40th birthday with my best friends who are from Jersey City and South Jersey. And I told my best friend that night when I came up, and her mother had passed from breast cancer, and she was just my rock. And I had to tell my family when I went on my family vacation, and they were wonderful. But the day I told my best friend, the next day we went out on a soca party boat around the Hudson.
Even
and
better.
Danced, and he told me to have fun. So I had fun with my family. I had fun with my friends. And then when I came back, we got to work.
That's crazy. So did this intersect with the pandemic? Were you still in treatment, or was it over? And I say over, asterisk over.
So I am so fortunate to have gone through cancer treatment, the whole totality, before and after COVID. Mm-hmm. So the decision, I had a grade 3 type tumor. It grew really quickly. And so the decision was to do neoadjuvant, which is a fancy way of saying chemo before surgery.
Right.
And I was really glad that
why is it so complicated?
They
just chemo. Just say it the way it is.
Yeah, and neo sounds new. Yeah, I don't know why we have
very
to use
Matrix style.
The Latin-y words, but especially since it's a dead language, but it's still useful. So they did chemo first. Wait, do
you speak Latin too?
No, but I do understand it just because the Latin languages that I speak, right. I now understand.
All right, that was a good segue. Go. Continue, please.
Et tu, Brute.
Yes.
So the good thing about going through chemo before surgery was I could see the tumor dying. I could see it receding. I could see it getting smaller. So I didn't feel like chemo was just something that was draining me. Mm-hmm. And then it also made it easier for my surgeons to do surgery. And they didn't have to cut away as much tissue. And my former colleagues and my friends, they took me to all my chemo appointments. They went with me to the doctor's offices. I remember
had a tribe.
I had an amazing tribe. My girlfriend Margaret was I call her my cancer project manager. And we had
your own chief of staff.
Yes, we had a shared notebook, and they would take notes while I just got to listen to what the doctor was saying and engage with the physician. And then we would go to my favorite restaurant in Philly. We would do the whole chemo thing, all those hours, and it actually ended up being the best experience of my life to go through cancer.
Again, beautiful and rare.
Beautiful, and it was rare, but I was so grateful. I'm not a naturally vulnerable person, and I'm not naturally even an emotional person, and I had to lean into people and lean on people and be vulnerable to people.
The vulnerability factor, right?
And I had hair shorter than yours. And
I have no hair.
I was on camera. And because my company, so Magellan Rx, I'll tell you one thing about it is it was 60% remote before COVID.
Okay.
I was hired in February 2019. Yeah. And so we did a lot of traveling to offices, but otherwise I worked at home. And my boss was so amazing. And she said, the moment I got my diagnosis and they said, you're going to have to start chemo. Well, that was when I was going to have to start my, what do you call that everybody else went through with COVID, where we're just quarantine. Circle gets a
Wait,
square.
what's that word again? Quar what? I know nothing of this.
Yeah, quarantine.
Tell me more.
So I quarantined September 2019, and I worked from home, and we're a camera.
Wait, you were pre-bubbled?
I was pre-bubbled. And it was almost like I got a chance to get ready for COVID.
Wait, COVID did you a favor?
No, COVID did me no favors. I was so not a fan of COVID because as a cancer patient,
Yeah, that's right.
at Penn, it was wonderful. It's like a cancer mall. It's so there's.
Where's the everything yogurt?
I mean, they've got great coffee, they've got great food. Everything that you need is in one
cancer
location.
mall. My goodness.
I mean, in that regard, it's sad that many people have cancer, but in the other regard, it's wonderful that there's so much great care.
Mm-hmm.
And you made me lose my train of thought.
Well, we were going to get into the fertility conversation because that's near and dear to me personally. I did want to tell you one specific thing that you may not be aware of. As part of the Affordable Care Act, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the former DNC chair, worked with the young adult cancer movement. We were involved with that to wedge in a bill called the Early Act. And the Early Act would guarantee any young adult under 40 with breast cancer would have full and complete coverage of mastectomy and reconstruction. You may be a beneficiary of that legislation.
Well, that's pretty amazing. Thank you for doing that. I didn't have a mastectomy. I had a lumpectomy and an oncoplastic reduction. But no
matter what it is, you will never be charged for any augmentation or...
Really?
Yeah. Well, you shouldn't be. And if you are, just call me.
Yeah, I'm going to look into that because there's some things I want to have redone.
Yeah. You're entitled. We got the bill passed.
I had no idea.
You know the word iatrogenic?
Say more.
Is that a yes?
That's a no.
Iatrogenic is when bodily harm is induced to save the life. And when you give a young woman a mastectomy to save her life, I'm not going to say this the right way because I'm not a woman, it just fucks you up physically, visually, emotionally, mentally for the rest of your life.
I think you nailed it.
You deserve the right to look, quote, normal. And it was recompense for the iatrogenic need to save your life.
Well, and what they're able to do between the prosthesis and with the tattooing, et cetera, and the surgeons are really motivated and they really want you to get as much of a normal life as possible. But so at Penn, at the mall, at the cancer mall, one of the sections that you go to is the fertility or the section to talk about like what your life goals are if you're younger and you're still able to have a child. And I remember meeting with the GYN there, and he said, "What are your goals?" And I was like, "I want to have babies." He said, "Well, you're going to have babies. You'll be safe. You'll have babies." And then when I met with the fertility folks, and they're like, "These are the options," and they're going through, you can freeze your eggs, you can harvest eggs, you can do this, you can do that. And I'm like, well, looking at the chart, and it's like it's $30,000 to store some eggs. I'm like, can I keep them at home in my own freezer? They said no.
Your own freezer. Dear Frigidaire.
And then there was like, you're going to have to get stuck every day and do all this stuff. And then they said, or there's Lupron. And I was like, well, what's the return on investment on that? And across the board, it was like a 30% chance either way. Mm-hmm. So I said, I'll do the Lupron. I had no idea it would cause raging hot flashes.
Yeah, it's all good. Ask my wife, because I stabbed her with it for months. She made her oocytes.
Oh my goodness. And I sweat every day. I was on camera, bald like Telly Savalas with a giant fan and a tank top, and my
Best
company.
70s actor reference on the history of the show.
Absolutely. Oh, thank you. I appreciate
Telly
it.
Savalas for the win. Rip Telly Savalas.
Rip Telly Savalas. Great head. And, but, my company, they were so great. Nobody ever made me feel bad. And when it was Halloween, I actually dressed up as a deer because I had a, bald brown head. So I was able to put ears on. It was fantastic.
Cancelers.
Cancelers.
Just trying to combine two words there. Cancer antlers.
Cancer antlers. They were beautiful. And no, but they just, and my boss, one of the nicest things, if and I hope you never get a chance to go through cancer, but if you're listening and you have a family member that does or a friend, one of the hardest things about chemo is the fatigue. Mm-hmm. And I was a working adult going through chemo and
with a job,
a demanding job, an amazing job. And my boss was so kind because she knew I couldn't do the mornings.
reasonable accommodation.
Reasonable accommodation.
Which is part of the ADA, passed in 1980 something.
But I didn't have to I didn't have to work hard to get that.
They didn't give you shit for it.
Not at all.
That's the best.
Not at all. You're like my cursing translator. I love it. Because you're saying all the things I want to see on the inside.
Wait, so let's wrap with some sort of a survey analysis of what it was like to get cancer while working in healthcare. And you had the fortune to be in the right place at the right time with the right doctors and the right tribe, but yet you were able to be your own advocate because you knew the system. Absolutely.
Right place, right time, right tribe. It was still scary. It was still the scariest thing I've ever been through. I'm still going through it. There's still, I take medication.
It's the gift that keeps on giving. Welcome to the club. You didn't want to join.
It's the gift that keeps on giving. But the great thing is that once one gets the cancer diagnosis, the healthcare system, at least now in my experience, kicks into high gear. Mm-hmm. One single chemo treatment was $47,000. That blew past the deductible. Mm-hmm. Everything was free from then on out. I mean, free as in I didn't pay out of pocket. The only part that I really didn't enjoy was the radiation, and that was just because we were post-COVID.
I mean, who enjoys radiation?
Yeah, on the bucket list.
Dear Chernobyl.
Right, 2 out of 5. No, but it was actually because that was when everyone was doing the COVID shutdowns, and I wasn't allowed to go outside, and we had to wear masks on the inside, and I was the type of radiation I had. You had to hold your breath because it moves your heart out of the way.
Yep.
And one of the days that I was coming in for treatment, they had locked the doors to the outside, this beautiful outside part. I would go pray and just get ready for my treatment.
And they shackled the gates.
They shackled the gates because they were afraid people were going to jump over and come in the back way. I'm like, they're cancer patients. We don't move that fast. And you got 8 people at the front door with thermometers and everything else. And
it's like one flew over the cuckoo's nest for cancer patients.
Exactly. Like we're shuffling really slow. What are we doing to do? So I actually hyperventilated and cried bitter tears on the table while I held my breath for that session. But by the time I got off the table, they had talked to the director of the hospital and he changed the policy.
Wow. That's powerful.
It was like my Rosa Parks cancer moment.
Oh my God. I'm glad I wasn't drinking. That would come on my nose. Oh my God. That was amazing.
Well, I had one more.
I can't get away with that. You can get away with that.
Yeah, thank you very much. I had one more because the bell was tied up. It was taped up.
And the bell that tells you you can leave? Yeah.
And so I kept telling them, like, I'm going to ring that bell. I'm going to ring that bell. They're like, well, we have to ask the hospital administrator and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you can go ahead and ask them. I said, I'll wear gloves. I'll wear whatever you need me to wear, but I'm ringing that bell. I will ring that bell. And on my last day of treatment, I'd gotten permission to ring the bell. And they said it was the first time anybody had heard that in 3 months. And so people need hope, and they need their friends and families to be able to be with them, and they need to hear other people having success and surviving.
I can't think of a more profound way to end this interview.
Thank you.
And to welcome you back anytime. That chair is yours anytime you want. Michelle Juhanson, what is CHC, CHPC? I love acronyms. I love these acronyms.
Thank you.
What does it mean?
Healthcare Compliance Association, certified in healthcare compliance and healthcare privacy compliance.
It's a lot of acronyms.
Yes.
All right. Michelle Juhanson, CHC, CHPC, VP, Chief of Staff 2, the lethal weapon 2 of her position at Magellan Rx Management. I am so excited to have had you on the show. We are best friends immediately.
Yay.
We are text buddies. I mean, you shared your Uber with me. That's like third base. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Matthew.
That's all for now. If you like the show, be sure to subscribe, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, follow us on social, and tell all your friends to listen. Tell us what you'd like Matthew to cover in his next episode by leaving a message for us at 855-AUDIO-66, and we might just use it in a future show. Out of Patients is a product of OffScrip Health. We are a healthcare engagement company built for patients and caregivers by patients and caregivers. Our executive producers are Matthew Zachary and Andrew McDowell. Our senior producer is Betsy Shepard. Our host is Matthew Zachary. It is recorded, mixed, and edited by Betsy Shepard. For advertising and media inquiries, email media@offscrip.com. That's media@offscrip.com. For more information, visit offscrip.com.